Hey guys, welcome to back to the channel. Thought I'd do a quick video. I know it's been a couple of days since the World Cup Sevens. I was in Cape Town for all 3 days. In fact, I was there for the team photograph on the Friday as well. There's some really nice moments in that, and it was great to see the teams. Cape Town had some wonderful weather on the first couple of days. The last two, not so much. The wind was blowing, it was overcast, it was cold. It really came through cold, so I don't think that really helped. I just thought I'd chat a bit about my thoughts about the tournament. Now that the dust has settled, now that Neil Powell's departed, just where the tournament stands and where it ranks, and why it was such a disappointment to me. First off, I've got to say, Cape Town Sevens normally is an exceptional tournament. It's probably one of the best in the circuit. And I've been to Dubai, I've been to Hong Kong, I've been to San Diego, Twickenham. I've done a number of Sevens tournaments in my time, and it certainly stands out as one of the best. So what went wrong with this tournament? Well, I think first of all, I think the expectation was probably wrong. I think the first thing first, I'm going to say, sorry, let's start this way. In terms of organization, in terms of the handling of the media, the ticket sales, the things around the stadium, the food, the drink, etc., I don't think you can give high plaudits to SA Rugby for what they did. I really got to prove, you never stood in line for beer. Very seldom. Food trucks, maybe here and there you stood in line, but there was enough of them that you had a variety, and decently priced. I mean, not too badly priced at all. I think we had one day we ventured out for calamari at 100 Rand, which is not too bad as well. So for a stadium event. So why was it so disappointing then? Well, a lot of it had to do with the format the World Rugby came up for this. It was a format they used in San Francisco in 2018, but I think the big difference was San Francisco didn't have the same expectation from fans in terms of the playing schedule. And the fact that it was a straight knockout, sort of made sure that every single game there had to be these 10-minute extra time built in. So you had these long periods between games. So that already sort of, was, and I know they try to fill it with sort of fan stuff and hot desks and things like that. And I understand for TV that helps a lot, but for the fan experience in the stadium, that wasn't great at all, because you had these 10-minute breaks between every single game. Now, Sevens games are only 14 minutes long, so that didn't really help either. So that was the first thing. The second thing, being a straight knockout schedule, you had, where in a normal Sevens tournament, and what people in Cape Town are so used to, is your pool game. So you have, what normally happens, they block the big teams together, the New Zealand, Fiji, South Africa, Australia, Argentina. They all sort of play together in a block of games. They do the main games from each pool, and they play them. So you have 3 pool games throughout the day. So 3 blocks of big matches. So normally what would happen, and what works so well in Cape Town, is that fans would go out and they would go buy a beer and have a couple of drinks and really enjoy the festive occasion around the stadium, which is really good. And then come back in and watch sort of 2 hours of rugby, and then go back out and come back in until the day's play. And they would see the Springboks play 3 times in a day. Same on day 2, depending on how well the Boks did, and they haven't had a great record in this tournament, but they would see them at least 3 times on day 2, including a final, semi-final, quarterfinal, semi-final, final. So there would be enough rugby action to keep you busy. So that's what normally would happen. I think that was the expectation for a lot of people when they heard the Sevens are coming, the World Cup Sevens is coming to Cape Town. Now, first of all, first distinction that needs to be made is it was played in September, where the weather in Cape Town is very different to December. So that's the first point I want to make. And I want to make the point because they scheduled the Springboks games at the end of every day. And they did this because they wanted fans to stay right till the end. But the problem was they scheduled so many games on day 2 that meant the Springboks played at 10:33 p.m. Now, I don't know, I was there, and just telling you from my personal point of view, I was there about 8 o'clock in the morning, and 10:30 that night just felt so far away. In fact, about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I think we were all just exhausted from the amount of rugby we were watching, and it just wasn't a great experience. So first of all, that's the one thing that really sort of counted against the tournament. So you had fans paying premium prices for tickets, really expensive tickets, and then having to wait till right at the end of the day to watch 14 minutes of the Springboks playing. Now, and one game on day 1, one game on day 2, and then only watching them more than twice on day 3. Now that to me just the whole fan experience was just horrible. I don't know how many fans I've spoken to told me the days were too long, told me that they left early or came late, and didn't, and it wasn't the same as the Cape Town Sevens. I've had a number of fans who told me if this is the experience, they won't be coming back to a Sevens tournament again. And this, to me, all falls directly on World Rugby and how they scheduled it. Of course, at some point you have to say who accepted it from the host side, but World Rugby are such a strong organisation. They can almost, it's their tournament. SA Rugby don't run the tournament, World Rugby do. So it all comes down to their planning and their organisation, and I think they missed the mark amazingly on this one. They really turned what should have been a showpiece festival event into something that was really a damn squib. And then of course, to add to that, the Springbok Sevens performance wasn't great. So what you had the disappointment of waiting right till the end of day one to watch them play one game, then right till the end of the day two at 10:30 at night, to watch them play Ireland and then fall in that semi. So that's sort of day three. The stadium was half full. It was supposed to be sold out. We were told it was sold out, but obviously a lot of people just didn't come because the Springbok Sevens didn't perform well, maybe because of the long days. Maybe they popped in and out and we didn't see them. But if you look at it, this was when Ireland played at 10:30 at night. These were the scenes where I took from my press seat in the media box, and you can see the stands are nowhere near full at 10:30 at night. You can't expect fans to sit up till 10:30 at night. Nobody plays rugby in South Africa at 10:30 at night, and maybe in Cape Town in December. And that's why I made the point about September. Is maybe in December, when the sun only goes down after 9 o'clock in the evening, you can maybe get away with playing at 10:30. But even then, it's very late, and it's not great for a fan experience. So what you had fans sitting there for 14 hours, watching smaller teams play, not the teams that came to see play, and the amount of big games was one or two in the entire day in a 14-hour period. So this meant a lot of fans ended up sitting in the beer gardens half the time. I'm not going to tell you the number of drunk people we saw around there. It wasn't great. It wasn't, especially in the evening as we took a walk around the stadium. And you can't, I'm not, everyone makes their own choices, but I find it difficult to blame fans when they've come to watch an event and there hasn't been the event that they've promised they've come to see. So, people went out and people with kids. Who's going to stay at an event till 10:30 at night, then fight traffic, maybe get home after midnight, just for 14 minutes of rugby? So I think it was a total disaster from World Rugby. I can't stress it enough. We tried to quiz them on it after the tournament. They sidestepped every single question. They hold these press conferences almost as a pat on their back to tell themselves how well they did. And they were still of the opinion the tournament was a roaring success. But if you ask anybody who was there, and anybody who's been to a Cape Town Sevens, this was nowhere near the intensity level, the satisfaction level, the rugby level that it should have been. And that to me was a massive disappointment, and World Rugby has to take that on their shoulders. This is what they said when I asked them about the 10:30 games and if they've got any reaction to all the fan complaints that we received.
On the first part, I think, as we said, we'll definitely review this format. We've only ever done this format once before, which was in San Francisco, Rugby World Cup Sevens 4 years ago. We took some learnings from that. Yesterday was an extraordinary long day, Rugby Sevens, for all of you and for everyone involved. So I think we'll look at all those factors and seek a lot of feedback as we always do. And that's what we've done on the series. So we aren't quite ready yet to announce what that new series structure looks like. We've got one more year of the current 7 series format, obviously very much back here in Cape Town later in the year. The most important thing for us as we look at that review of Sevens is, can we make the series a better product for spectators but a better experience for the players?
Now, as you can see, that's typical politicians, sort of sidestepping the issue as quickly as they could. And that, to me, the whole thing had a bit of a bad taste in my mouth, especially because it was Neil Powell's last tournament. You hope that he would get the send-off that he deserved, and after 9 years in rugby. I mean, he's built an amazing legacy in Sevens rugby and really, such an integral part of this team. You've seen some of the Angelo Davids, for instance, here talking about Neil Powell and just how emotional he got when he spoke about what he meant to him. So, I mean, that's, to me, the tournament deserved better. You just watch Angelo quickly and we're talking about Neil Powell.
Whenever we speak about Coach Neil Powell, always it hits me deep, because that's the man who changed me. That is the guy who told me that I can make it. That is the guy that was there when I needed a father. That's the guy who told me to never give up and to keep going and to keep believing. So for him, I want to salute him for what he did in my life. And I'm going to miss him a hell of a lot. And yeah, and I love him so much.
Now, when you have that sort of emotion, and I'm not surprised the Springbok Sevens maybe didn't do as well as we hoped they would be, because, to be honest, geez, that was really, it wasn't what we expected, and Neil Powell deserved better. So to me, the whole tournament was a total disappointment. There was too many games, too many substandard games, and sorry to say to the developing nations that I love having them there. I loved covering the African teams and just their passion in the game. Uganda, Zimbabwe, especially Kenya. But the problem was there was too many of these smaller games and not enough big games to attract the crowd. So thinking just purely from a fan experience, there wasn't enough to keep the crowd in the stadium the entire time. There was no wonder that Sunday the stadium was half empty. And for a World Cup final, these were the pictures of exactly how the stadium looked in those moments. So that was in the World Cup final. Half the people hadn't stayed, and it was actually a pity, because both the women's and men's final dished up some exceptional sevens rugby as well, and Fiji and Australia were worthy champions for that. It's a pity the Blitzboks didn't do better, but they performed in their final game, which was good to see. But yeah, just all around the tournament needs a real rethink. The pool stages work for obvious reasons, because they keep people engaged. And I know there's a problem in the past that people have complained that Springbok fans sort of watch the Springboks and then go out to the beer gardens and then come back when the Springboks play again. So I don't have a problem with playing them at the end of the day, but then at least make it a time like 8 o'clock, somewhere that fans and people with kids can stay and watch. Yeah, this was a disappointment all round. And as I say, I can't fault SA Rugby. Their organisation was great. It wasn't their fault the schedule was like it was. But yeah, disappointing all round. Anyhow, those are my thoughts on this. If you agree, disagree, let me know in the comments. And if you haven't, smash that like button and subscribe to the channel, please do. There'll be more rugby videos like this, giving me my honest opinion. And let me know what you think as well. If you're at the Cape Town Sevens, tell me if you agree. If you thought the format was good, let me know as well. It's always good to hear your comments. But thanks for watching, and chat to you next video.